MERCS is a 1990 arcade game released by Capcom. It's the successor to Commando, and you can play with your friends and blow up waves of enemies, Commando or Ikari Warriors style. So it's surprising when you throw in the 1991 release for the Genesis, only to find out it's a single-player game. This game was made for 2 players. Come on! Actually, if I'm not mistaken, the arcade machine was 3 players. Anyway, what you see here is what you get. MERCS is an extremely affordable game for the Genesis or Mega Drive. It's a top-down shooter and plays exactly like Commando. You fire in the direction that you're running. You do not have twin-stick style Robotron controls in this game, which means that it's really hard and you want to keep moving before the enemies shoot you. Movement is key in these kinds of games, but they're best with 2 players so someone can cover your back. However, the cool thing about the Sega Genesis version of this game is that you get 2 different modes. You have an arcade mode and an original mode. We're watching the arcade mode here, which has the same boards and gameplay from the arcade. You mow down waves of mindless enemies and then fight giant end boss machines. Pretty typical stuff for this kind of game. Instead of simple grenades, you have what they call a mega crash attack, which acts as a super bomb kind of thing, clearing off all of the enemies on screen. Extremely handy when you're about to be killed. Keep an eye out for food items that replenish your health, like legs of lamb and hamburgers, as well as some cans of spinach. And there's even additional weapons to pick up, like a spread shot, rocket launcher, and flamethrower. MERCS isn't all bad. It has a flamethrower. Now, the game's not all that great either. Sometimes you get to hop in a crappy boat or a stupid jeep and run over bad guys, but for the most part, MERCS is your basic Commando-style game. Point and run in the same direction that you're firing, run around in circles, and eventually just get bored and frustrated. But it has a flamethrower, so it's got that going for it. If you really enjoy games like Commando and Ikari Warriors, then I would recommend MERCS. For one thing, it doesn't cost all that much. And the original mode on the Sega Genesis version is an improvement over the Genesis arcade mode. There's all new stages, an all new threatening the world, and most importantly, you can recruit additional fighters that you can switch between during combat. That's really handy. Ooh, he may have picked up an entire roast turkey on the ground there that was in a box baking in the sun for who knows how long, so I'm not sure if it was a leg of lamb, but it was definitely meat on a bone, and if left out in the sun for weeks on end, that would certainly give you some kind of nuclear powers and regenerate your health. Yes, Burner joined my party. What's up, Foxy 16-bit lady? What's your name? Got a phone number? Because this is 1991 and I'll have to call you and physically speak to you instead of just sending you messages online and stalking your Facebook status. Check out how I switch between characters, and when I was chatting with my 16-bit senorita, that's where I can cash in some medals for additional health and supplies in the privacy of a tent in the middle of a battlefield. We don't call it a love shack in MERCS, it's a love tent. And yes, I'd like some additional health, please. Another guy named Launcher joined my party. These sound like imitation G.I. Joes. And I'm eventually going to get blown up and then play something else. MERCS is about 2 strokes below par. It would have been a lot better with 2 players because I don't find these games terribly fun in single-player mode unless they have Robotron-style controls. But that's just me. If you really like Commando or Ikari Warriors on the NES or something, then you might dig MERCS. It's super easy to find, really cheap, and it's got a flamethrower and love tent. MERCS!